All right, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. Let's bring in our next guest, Billy, Patty Behrens, marriage and family therapist. Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Tell me about your practice.
Okay, well, I'm a individual practitioner, so that means I have a single office. I do not work at a clinic.
Okay.
So I'm in private practice myself. And although my license is licensed marriage and family therapist, majority of my clients are individuals. I do work with couples and families, but majority is individuals.
Really? Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about a marriage therapy, you go one-on-one?
Yes.
Instead of having the couple there together?
Well, it's not just about couples, because that's the license. That's what you go to school. You get your master's, you pass a couple of tests, go through 3,000 hours of supervision after that, and then you're able to provide counseling, psychotherapy, and that can be couples, families, individuals. So it's dealing with emotional health and wellness.
I think I see where you're going with that a little bit. The couple doesn't need to be there because one person can identify them being the problem sometimes.
Well,
or
sure.
Some of the things that they do are problems, or maybe they're not dealing with something that their spouse is doing well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it doesn't
am I
have to
close?
be. Well, it doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It can just be individual issues. I mean, everywhere we go, we have relationships.
Sure.
And so how we're dealing with those, our emotional health and wellness, has a lot to do with how we interact with others.
The people that are coming to you, are they coming to you because they themselves have said, I think I need some help?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we all know the only person we can change is ourselves.
Sure.
So that's kind of where we start, and people do come in. Basically, I look at counseling, people are going through struggles. There might be some little roadblocks along the way. They get stuck and they need help getting over those.
Right.
Maybe there's something catastrophic, and they need a little bit more. And my specialties are grief, anxiety, loss, trauma.
Okay.
So
sometimes those are all the same, right?
Absolutely, sure. They can be intertwined.
Why do you feel like that became your specialty?
Well, that was through my personal loss, actually, and so that's what got me into it. You know, I had years ago, my first husband died suddenly while on a family vacation. So I suffered from some issues. 2 years later, I was still dealing with some traumatic effects. You've heard of post-traumatic stress syndrome?
Sure.
Sure. So I had some of those symptoms. And
you sought therapy yourself?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Wow.
No. That's why I love to come and educate the public, because at that time, I wasn't really a believer in counseling or therapy.
You weren't.
I wasn't a therapist.
What were you doing?
At that time, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Uh-huh.
I did have a teaching credential, so I did some teaching on the side, and I was involved with a lot of volunteer work. I did volunteer counseling for different organizations, ministries. So after that occurred, I actually ended up getting into grief support groups and facilitating those. And as I saw the benefits, started to looking in and went back and got my master's in counseling, because it ended up spreading out that there's lots of issues that come up. And
that's a lot to take on after going through a traumatic experience.
Well, it didn't happen overnight. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sure.
you know, that was 16 years ago now, and so I did go back to school probably about 5 years after, and then completed my degree, and have been.
Did that help you? Going to school?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I love learning, and that's my fascination right now, is just learning new ways to help people, help them heal.
Right. Tell me about some reasons why people should seek out someone like yourself.
Well, what I think, I mean, anybody that's going through some struggles that they're stuck, you know, having a neutral person, a professional that can come around and see the whole picture, families, friends, maybe well-meaning, but they have their own perspective, and they're invested in you. So if you come to somebody, sometimes it can just be for a little bit to help you get over that hump. for me, something I love finding out about the neuroscience. I mean, right now I have, therapy with the brain and mind is my tagline.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, in the past 8-10 years, I mean, and ongoing, they're discovering so many things about the brain. And that has a big effect on our emotions, our physical being, our thoughts, and that has a lot to do with therapy. So I use that knowledge and to help people make actually real changes. I'm interested in them making real changes, not just putting a Band-Aid.
Right.
I want them to heal. I want them to improve their life and feel better.
That's good to hear.
Change.
We talked about the marriage side of it a little bit, but it's family therapists too.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, in reality, whole families don't come in all that often. It's just hard to get everybody there. And majority of ones that do come in are probably from broken relationships, and there's children involved, and there's co-parenting. So, I do some of that and helping the adults act like adults and parent their children together, even though they're not in a relationship any longer that's intimate. I mean, they still have contact.
Sure, forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, are you from Fresno?
Yes.
You're born and raised here?
Well, Sanger.
Okay, close
Yep,
enough.
close enough.
And you go to Fresno State?
I did. Yes, I did.
And where's your office located?
It's over on the corner of Maple and Knees. I have a office in the small office suites right there, so it's an individual office, nice and private. Doesn't have any stigma. I mean, that's the other thing. Sometimes people have a stigma about going to counseling.
Right.
That they'd be weak or, that they don't need help. And actually, I think it takes strength to say, hey, and to come in and get some tips.
For sure.
Get some solutions.
No one wants to say they're broken.
No.
Okay?
No.
It's tough. But if you are, the smart person looks for some
sure.
help. I'm curious, how does insurance look at this?
Well, therapy, it depends on the insurance company, okay? Many insurance companies will pay for therapy, but there's so many different,
Is it frustrating?
Well, no, not for me, because I'm an out-of-network provider. So
what does that mean?
That means I'm not on any insurance panels, and that's by choice.
What's the benefit for you for that?
Well, probably the disadvantage is people might go to want to go to ones that are on their panel. The advantage for me is that I'm not under the strings of insurance company, and they don't necessarily have access to my records. So it's more private. And many of my clients do get reimbursed, though. I have a program that will submit their insurance claims, and they'll get percentage back, or whatever that takes.
Awesome. Are you looking for any new patients?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Always. I mean, clients. What I see, people come to be there and then leave. Not to sit there. Some need to because of some very traumatic incidents and ongoing issues, but I say majority come in, stay there, help get over their hump, and move on, improve their life. Yeah. If they need to come back, fine.
Awesome.
So I see that too.
Awesome.
So
I can see where you'd be a really easy person to talk to.
Well, I try to break the stigma. I mean, it's not how do you feel.
Right.
It's looking at some practical ways and to make some changes and improve it. And like I said, with the brain in mind. I mean, I don't know if you know, but they used to say that our brains just continue to deteriorate.
Like you lose brain cells naturally?
It just starts getting worse and worse and worse. Well, they were wrong, and they said they were wrong. Neuroscience.
Right.
And now they say, which they have proven, is that we can make changes in our brain till the day we die. We can be 90 years old.
Awesome.
I mean, the brain
I love to hear that.
Yes, so it's what we do with it that matters. It really does, So
Awesome.
I love giving little brain tips. And
give me a brain tip.
A little one that you're going to say is so simple, it's ridiculous, is give yourself enough water every day.
Yes.
75% of your brain's made up of water. It's a little 3-pound organ, and it needs lots of water. If it doesn't, it's not going to function right.
Right.
It's going to affect you. So that's just a little, tidbit. But I'm actually giving some of those in a newsletter and putting it out there because, again, I love to teach the public.
Nice. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, they can either go to my website, which is counselingfresno.org.
Okay.
O-R-G. Okay. They can contact me, email, patty@counselingfresno.org.
Sweet.
Or they can call me. Either way.
Okay.
So.
Patty Behrens, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. It's
Nice being
talking
here.
with you.
Yes.
Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on The Buzz. Stick around.